Hello everyone and welcome to today's Wild Rift video. Today I'm going to be giving you the complete beginner's guide for the new champion Aurora. Aurora is a high burst mage that can deliver a significant amount of damage quickly, catching enemies off guard. Her high mobility allows her for flexible positioning, engaging and disengaging in fights effectively. Aurora is strong at all points during the game. In the early game, she can wave clear fairly easily and use this opportunity to roam around the map and get advantages for her team. In the late game, she can use her huge AoE ultimate on the entire enemy team. And with her ultimate, she can teleport from one side of the fight to the other, getting easy access to the enemy backline using her other abilities to burst them down easily. And to top all of this off, she's also extremely fun to play. She has an engaging playstyle that you'll be able to learn something new every game. And with this guide, it will help you with the high skill ceiling that Aurora players need to learn before they jump into the Rift. Aurora's passive is Spirit Abjuration. When Aurora damages an enemy 3 times with attacks or abilities, she deals additional magic damage. And if the enemy is a champion, it also frees a spirit that follows Aurora for a few seconds, restoring her health over time. Her first ability is Twofold Hex. Aurora fires a single line skill shot in a direction, dealing magic damage to enemies and cursing them for a few seconds. Aurora can then detonate the curse afterwards, dealing additional magic damage to enemies it passes through. The detonation of the curse doesn't have range, so when you use your first ability to clear waves or poke enemy champions, you can look to escape, get to safety, and then re-detonate from anywhere on the map. Twofold Hex is the primary ability to be able to poke champions and clear minion waves. This allows you to easily proc your passive and electrocute, since Twofold Hex has 2 instances of damage, meaning that you need to only land one more ability or auto attack to deal the additional damage. Aurora's second ability is Across the Veil, where Aurora hops in a direction and upon landing enters the spirit realm, becoming invisible. Aurora also gains movement speed for a few seconds after using Across the Veil. And upon scoring a takedown on an enemy champion, this will reset the cooldown of Across the Veil. Across the Veil can be used to both engage and disengage throughout the game. You can make use of the invisibility to get in range to use your other abilities and proc Aurora's passive and electrocute, or you can use this to disengage from team fights. And a quick tip as well is that you can jump over most walls, giving you crazy repositioning during team fights. The Weirding is Aurora's third ability, where Aurora sends out a blast of spirit magic that deals magic damage to enemies in the area and slows them for 1 second. Aurora also hops backwards a short distance after casting. When comboing the Weirding and Twofold Hex, the hop back actually helps Aurora get back to safety. You use Twofold Hex at the start, use your third ability to jump away to safety and hit on an enemy champion, and since you don't need to be in any range to use the second part of Twofold Hex, you can detonate this from anywhere, allowing you to stay safe, but also allowing you to deal additional damage with electrocute and your passive. And lastly, Aurora's ultimate is Between Worlds. Aurora leaps in a direction and upon landing sends out a pulse of spirit energy and deals magic damage in a huge AoE circle. The circle also slows enemies, and the area stays active for a few seconds, granting Aurora movement speed and allowing her to jump from one edge to the other. Enemies attempting to leave the circle will be slowed heavily for a few seconds. For combos, you want to start with your second ability, Across the Veil, and then use an auto attack before using Twofold Hex. But make sure that you don't use your second part of Twofold Hex before you use the Weirding, since your first ability will do missing health damage with the pullback when you detonate the curse. And when including your ultimate Between Worlds, you can start by using your ultimate at the start of a fight, and then combo that with your first ability, Twofold Hex, again making sure that you use the Weirding in between both parts of Twofold Hex, and then use Across the Veil to reposition around the circle and try and jump from one side of the circle to the other to get access to the backline. For the leveling order, you want to start off with Twofold Hex at level 1. This will give you access to both parts of the ability, giving you poke damage and wave clear early on. At level 2, you want to take the weirding, your third ability, so you can start comboing your first and your third ability to proc electrocute and your passive, with then across the veil at level 3 to get all abilities available. For the max in order, you want to max your first ability twofold hex first, then your third ability the weirding, and then second ability across the veil, making sure that you level up your ultimate between worlds when available. For the build, you want to start off with mana boots. As soon as you have this, you should go back to base, buy the mana boots, and get back to lane as quick as possible. The mana regeneration that you get in the early game means that you can use your abilities a lot more often to clear ways and poke the enemy champions, and that you can use the extra movement speed from the boots to try and roam around the map. The first item is Luden's Echo to both again help with your wave clear and your burst damage, building Infinity Orb, Death Cap, and Awakened Soul Stealer to do the most amount of burst damage as possible, with the final item being Crown of the Shattered Queen. Just in case you go too close to enemy champions, the Safeguard passive will be able to block the next hostile ability. For the runes, Electrocute is the bread and butter for Aurora to allow her to deal more burst damage that is always guaranteed. Your first ability and your third ability will always be able to proc Electrocute during the laning phase and during team fights, and you need to make sure that you play around this cooldown and engage whenever it's up and available. Gathering Storm is the next rune to give you scaling ability power throughout the game, with Giant Slayer, the next rune, dealing bonus damage to enemies that build health. Legend Alacrity gives us more auto attack speed, so we can try and proc our passive with auto attacks and auto attacks in between using our abilities. And then Sudden Impact for our final rune choice. When we dash in with our second ability, turning invisible, we're able to deal true damage with all of our abilities. And for the summoner spells, we take Flash and Ignite. Flash just helps us again with the extra repositioning, being able to flash forward to engage or flash away to disengage. And Ignite gives us that extra kill potential during the laning phase. If you're against a melee matchup in the mid lane, you could use the Ignite to your advantage and your poke to try and get an early advantage and snowball by roaming around the map. Now we're going to move on to the gameplay part of the video, where I show you one of my games that I played with the new champion Aurora. This is going to be one of my first games as well. I played her quite a bit over on PC League just to get a bit of an understanding of her. She's one of the newest champions that really came out over on PC League. I believe she came out around a year ago now, so I haven't played a lot of PC during that time. Of course, with Wild Rift coming out, I've just been addicted to that really for the past few years. But in this gameplay, I wanted to show you kind of what you want to do with Aurora, you know, during the laning phase, when you're roaming, during team fights as well, what sort of combos you should be using. So in the laning phase, I am up against Echo. Funny enough, Echo is actually one of the most annoying champions to play in the mid lane because he has one of the fastest wave clears in the mid lane as well. I took a unfortunate pretty bad trade here as well. But Echo could just walk up to the wave and just use his first ability, auto attack a few times, and then my whole minion wave is gone, which is very surprising compared to someone like Aurora, who already has, you know, incredible you know, wave clear in the mid lane, and is supposed to use that to be able to roam around the map and you know, help her team. I am taking first strike this game. I wanted to give it a try, especially because I'm against this melee matchup. You know, I think if you're against a range matchup, if you're against another mage, like maybe a Syndra or someone like that, or Oriana, it's a lot easier and a lot better to execute Electrocute. But you can also go first strike if you want to as well. If you want to make full use of trying to go for, you know, jump in, you deal that first point of damage, you deal the extra true damage as well. It's really important to make sure that you pick the right rune for the right situation. During the lane phase, nothing really too much is happening. I can see Echo roaming at the moment to the top side, but my mana is pretty low, so I decide to not roam in the end, and I decide to just push mid wave. Echo's actually wasting quite a bit of time in this top side. He does get a kill though, unfortunately, so that's going to be a little bit annoying for me, but he is losing a lot of experience and a lot of gold in this mid lane. I wanted to push mid just to try and push this wave underneath the tower and try and go back to base as soon as possible. Probably should have cleared this wave because I don't have really, as you can tell, I don't really have the mana to clear this next wave. I should just cleared one wave and then gone back to base. But now I can go back to base and buy my boots of mana. As I mentioned in the video, buying boots of mana as quick as possible and going back to base to buy your boots is really important, mainly for the mana regeneration, just because you can use your abilities more often during the laning phase. You can use it to clear minion waves. You can poke enemy champions as well. Just really important to make sure you make full use out of boots of mana in the early game. So I'm just going to use my combo here just to clear the wave, do a little bit of damage to Echo as well. You can see my first strike is stacking up quite a bit. I'm on 60 gold at the moment, which is pretty nice. If you can get out of the laning phase with like 100 plus gold, it's a big win for if you're running first strike in the mid lane. Again, as I mentioned, with this melee matchup, it's a lot easier for me to proc first strike. Just gonna use the W here to jump back over the wall. But nothing interesting really is happening in this mid lane. There'd be a lot more fighting if I was against a mage, because the mage would try and poke me down. You know, because of Aurora's very low range at times, you know, especially with her abilities on cooldown in the early game, she can get poked quite a bit, so you do have to be, you know, fairly careful. I do get played though in the mid lane, which is quite nice, but you can see every single opportunity I have, every single time that I have my first ability, I'm looking to use it on both the minions and Echo. If I can use it on both the minions and Echo, I'm one, clearing the wave, which is what I want to do, and also I'm proccing first strike, because Echo finds it near enough impossible to deal damage to me first before I deal damage to Echo. I preemptively use my flash because I'm a little bit scared that Echo is also going to use flash and stun me with the second ability. Bit of a mistake on my part. I didn't think that Echo would do that. He didn't really do that throughout the whole laning phase, so I wasn't expecting him to hide in a bush, use the W and try and jump back out. But that's something you do need to be careful of when you're playing against assassins in the mid lane. I do think Echo's roaming top. Yeah, Echo's roaming top. I did ping my bot lane, but unfortunately my bot lane didn't hear my ping, so unfortunately Echo gets another kill up in the top side. Zed is trying to hold this tower mid. I'm going to do quite a lot of damage to him though, to try and force him off of this mid lane wave. And again, as I mentioned, even though Echo is roaming, I mean, he even got a killing spree as well, which is pretty bad. I probably should look to try and roam here. If I was to think of like mistakes that that happened this game, I should probably look to try and roam now. I don't think taking tower platings is worth it, because they're also getting tower platings in the top lane as well. Gonna use my W here to try and escape, and use my ulti to escape as well. This is one of the amazing things about Aurora's ultimate, is that you can use it to escape, and you can also use it to engage as well at the same time. So I used the ultimate away from the Zed, and I was able to walk towards the edge of the ultimate so I can escape back to safety. Really, really clever tool that you can use in your ranked games. If you do get ganked by a jungler, if you just use your ultimate, you have to manually aim your ultimate, because if you auto cast it, it's going to go towards an enemy champion. If you manually aim your ultimate behind you, you can use this anywhere on the map. You don't have to aim the first ability on your ultimate, on a champion. It doesn't have to focus on a champion. This Echo is roaming a lot, by the way. Like, look how much Echo is roaming right now. Again, I should probably look to roam myself, but I can just clear this mid wave. I'm getting so many tower platings in this mid lane. I've pretty much got every single tower plate, and you can see I'm just going to get the last one here as well. I've gotten like a good 500 gold really from just taking tower platings, which is really nice. Echo just keeps on roaming to bot lane every time, which is a little bit annoying, but I'm curious to see how much gold I'm able to get from pushing this mid lane wave. To be honest, this was one of my first games with Aurora, so I was still kind of getting used to her controls on Wild Rift, and I was just trying to make sure that I don't, you know, make any int plays, I guess you can say, by trying to roam around the map. Yeah, as I was explaining, you know, you don't have to use your ultimate on a champion at all. You can use it anywhere on the map. You can use it to engage, or you can use it to disengage as well. So it is very, very powerful. I think it's a lot easier as well for the enemy team to dive, because they have a zillion as well. So it makes it, you know, much easier for them to dive. I'm gonna, unfortunately, I just should have ignited. This was nearly such a good play that I made, but unfortunately I didn't ignite. And also maybe if I used my W, it could have also probably been a kill as well. But if I just press my ignite button when I dash forward with my ultimate, I think Zed is dead. But I didn't press my ultimate. Instead I tried to use my ability, but I completely misplayed that, unfortunately. It was the right idea. You know, you can see there that you can use the ultimate aggressively by using the ultimate and then every single time that you use your ultimate, if you want to chase an enemy down, it's much quicker to walk behind you, use the edge of the circle to teleport to the other side. That's a lot easier than just running towards an enemy champion and trying to kill the enemy champion when you're trying to run on in there. Bit of engage happening mid lane. You can see my classic combo being used in this fight. Unfortunately, I missed the third ability on the Ashe. But every single time that I have my first ability up, I'm using my first ability, then my third ability, just like that, and then using the second part of my first ability. And there you go. You can see we absolutely clean house in this mid lane. I think I got a double kill there as well. Yeah, I had to use my flash again. I use my flash as a more of a precaution because of Echo's stun. If you get CC'd by Aurora, you are very, very squishy. So you need to be very careful when you get CC'd, because you can get one-shot pretty quickly. I mean, they have an Echo, they have an Ashe with crowd control as well. So every single time that I'm seeing Echo's ultimate and I know there's other people around, I'm precautionally using flash. I want to go back there and see the gold, see what the gold's like. I did just get 2 kills, to be fair, so I guess it's a little bit okay, I'm over 1,000 gold ahead, but I think that's because I got the 2 kills. So maybe if I didn't get the 2 kills, I'd be probably even on gold with Echo. But then unfortunately my bot lane's behind it because I didn't roam to the bot lane or top lane in this instance, depending on how you want to see it, top lane or bot lane. But I still call, even though the map flips, I still call it bot lane. Don't know why. I just still call it bot lane. Use my W here every single time. I'm just making sure I use my ultimate to escape. I probably didn't need to use the ultimate there, to be fair, to try and escape. I was just, again, just being careful. You always have to be careful with Aurora. CC, anything like that. Any sort of lockdown is a big counter to Aurora, because Aurora's one of Aurora's main assets. And one of her strengths is her mobility, how quickly she can get around, the amount of movement speed that she gets with her second ability, and how much mobility she has even from her third ability as well, being able to dash back. So if you're against any crowd control, then you need to be really careful when playing Aurora. I would probably recommend you building Quicksilver as the boots enchant to be able to stop any of that crowd control. I pushed this mid lane wave and I'm looking to go into the bot lane now. Again, this Zilean champion is so annoying to deal with. I used the W though to get over the wall, and oh my god, look at that damage. It's absolutely disgusting. I jump over the wall, the enemies don't see me because I'm invisible, and then I just completely one-shot the Zilean. I don't think he even had time to use his ultimate there. Trying to be a little bit careful here. I'm dodging Echo's abilities, and I'm using the edge, right on the edge of the ultimate, to secure the kill there onto the Echo. And now we're on a rampage. Death cap on base as well. Build kind of never changes with Aurora. You kind of just go for the same build. You know, Luden's Echo. Mana is still important for Aurora because you're spamming your abilities so much. You know, in the late game, your first ability and your third ability have such low cooldowns. So you always go for Luden's. You always build that into Infinity Orb. Then kind of after Infinity Orb, you go Death Cap, and then it's a little bit flexible. You know, do you need anti-heal? Do you need Morellonomicon because the enemy team has a lot of healing? Do you need anti-shield? Do you need to go for Trident because the enemy team has a lot of shielding? So there's a lot of situations where you can go different items, but the kind of default item after Death Cap is Awakened Soul Stealer, because if you're able to one-shot someone and get a kill, it reduces all your non-ultimate ability cooldowns. So there you go. As you can see there, I'm pre-purchasing Awakened Soul Stealer. I'm going for that as the next item. Much prefer this build. I know there's a build right now over on PC League where you can go items like Leandries and things like that as well, but to be honest, you know, them sort of items are just unfortunately you know, not as strong in Wild Rift, and I think Aurora as a burst mage is just a lot more popular. Unfortunately, Echo there steals the dragon, unfortunately, because of the Echo ultimate, which is a little bit annoying to deal with, but it's completely fine. It happens. Look at this Zilean ability as well. Like, slowing abilities down is so annoying. Every time I try and jump in, if Zilean uses that slow, it makes my one shot not as quick as before. Just sit in the bush here. Another way you can play Aurora is by doing this. Just sit in the bush. Oh, this is disgusting. Jump over the wall. Boom. Dead. Oh my god. That is absolutely disgusting. You didn't see Zilean's health bar, but to be honest, even if you did, you wouldn't have seen it after a long time anyway, because that was some crazy damage. But you see how I'm playing Aurora here? I'm using the fog of war. I'm using my vision on the map to jump over walls. I know that the enemy doesn't have vision in this bush because there's a pink ward. So you can see I'm sitting in the bush and I'm waiting to use my second ability. I can use my second ability to jump over the wall, turn invisible, and then I'm able to do, you know, do the damage and do the combo that I want to do. First ability into third ability and use a combo to be able to escape. You see Volibear here as well. I'm trying to do a little bit of damage to Volibear. I even stunned the Volibear as well, thanks to the little clone. They do see me, unfortunately. Again, I use the same idea, but still just not enough damage to be able to kill the Volibear. But you can see how much quicker, just in that instance of using your ultimate aggressively and just walking behind you. Look at that damage. Oh my god. The Zillion keeps walking up and just keeps getting caught by my abilities. Absolutely disgusting. And you can see here, I'm going to flash forward and secure this kill as well. Boom, another kill. 8 kills on the board. You can see that, like, I have the right idea. Oh no, yeah, Zed. I don't have stasis. I have 4,000 gold in base, chat. 4,000 gold in base. I need stasis. I'm against the Zed. I probably should have gone back to base a lot earlier because I should have completed an item. That for me is just being way too greedy. I didn't need to stay for that long. I had, like, you know, over nearly 4,000 gold in the end, which is quite nice. Oh, my team's getting caught out a little bit, which is not good. Volibear is not using his ultimate though, unfortunately, so he's going to die. Baron's up soon. Wonder if we can go for it right now. I think my team's going to try and look to go for it here. I have to see 14,000 gold already in this game. Absolutely crazy. You can see how my last item, I'm turning it to be a little bit flexible. I don't know why my E auto locked there on Zillion, which was a little bit annoying, but it's fine. I mean, we killed them both anyway. My idea there was to W over the wall. Again, you can see how I'm playing the game. You know, every single time that I'm jumping over a wall, or every single time I'm chasing down the champion, I'm using my W. You always want to use your W before you engage, because that invisibility can give you such a huge advantage, especially when you're using a rune like First Strike. Because how is the enemy champions going to deal damage to you before you deal damage to them if you're invisible with your second ability? Now, of course, you can keep your second ability as more of an escape tool as well, but I much rather prefer to use it as like an engaged tool, you know, trying to play aggressively and trying to one-shot, especially because of how far I'm ahead. You see here, I'm trying to catch Zed in this bush. He uses his ultimate. I used my invisibility, though, to stop the burst damage from Zed. So I just mentioned that you can keep your second ability for that defensive mechanic, and using your second ability, oh my god, I did 1.1k damage there, by the way. And you can use your second ability to try and dodge damage, because if you use your second ability and then just don't use any other ability, you turn invisible. And that's exactly one of the reasons there why I was able to kill the Zed in the end, and how I was able to survive the Zed damage, because as soon as he used his ultimate, I dodged around, I used my movement speed a little bit, and then I used my second ability to stop him auto attacking me and stop him using his other abilities. And then I used my ultimate, I used my stasis, so he just takes a ton of damage overall. And as you can see, that is going to be the end of the game. A few one-shots in the end as well. Big bit of damage as well. That is going to be a victory for our queen Aurora. As I mentioned, I'm having so much fun with Aurora. She is getting banned a lot at the moment in Wild Rift, of course, in ranked, because every new champion pretty much gets banned. But if you do have a chance of playing her, and if you do play in the mid lane, make sure you give her a try. She is such a fun champion to play. She has so much mobility, so much outplay potential. There you go. 14, 1, and 2 in the end, with some crazy damage. Look at that. 47,000 damage on Aurora is absolutely disgusting. There you go. That's the damage, the numbers, and a full gameplay of Aurora. So hopefully this guide will help you out when you enter the Rift with the new champion Aurora. As always, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next Wild Rift video. Peace.